Michael again. I want to say hello and let everybody know we're coming towards the end of our time together. Today's topic is going to be about jobs, but I want to ask that everybody pray for those people down in Texas and down in Florida and such like that, in order to continue to help them with their problems in these hurricanes, because these disasters are going to be pretty bad, you know. And of course there'll be a lot of jobs involved with the repairs and things, but this is going to be an ongoing thing, and it's going to be a time when people are going to have to come together and to look at what we can do for each other and continue to try to progress. But you see, this is one of those issues to where we have to begin to be preventative, because everybody knows that the people on the coastlines, you know, they're all going to be having these problems because of the raising of the tides, the rising of the tides, and you know, the sea levels are all going up and all these other things. So you got to look at it kind of like, well, you know, tsunamis and people on the coastal areas, especially in the United States, man, you better leave. Better go to Oklahoma, you know, and dig underground or something. But anyway, that's not the case. Let's just keep those people in prayer. Okay, today's thing is jobs. And one of the things I want to do right now is kind of put you up on this one issue. In America, the job stats are very low right now for unemployment. It's the lowest it's been in the last probably 25 years or more. But the problem is, again, the black community has a very high unemployment rate. And nobody seems to be caring about that at the time, while they're sitting here trying to give special interest towards people like Israel and giving them $1 trillion for nothing. And people like the Hispanic communities, to where they're going to be given our tax dollars in order for them to stay here illegally and take our jobs and make sure that my children don't get an opportunity to get job experience and some of these other things. So we have to look at that and say, well, how do we make this a better place? Because right now the big jobs issue is going to be new infrastructure issues, because everything's going to be breaking apart, and because it's been here for so long. But the big issue that we're going to be looking at is the fact that the cost on these restructuring is just going to be massive. It is the greed now when it comes to redoing things is just astronomical. So, you know, me myself, now that I've had this injury, I'm going to go in and be just as greedy. I'm going to gouge, because everybody else is doing it, and it's within the law. So now it's a matter of saying, well, it's not moral, it's not this, it's not that, but it's happening all the time. And it's happening to me and you. So either you continually look at yourself falling down the cliff, and you know, you get bumped up on the way down, or otherwise you join the fray and you get in and you become very, I would say, business savvy or ruthless, just like anybody else. Because right now the intelligence level in the United States is going down really bad, because you have all these people from other cultures, and the only thing that they're really concerned about is how well they look. They're not concerned about being Americans, like I said before. They're not concerned about what type of future there's going to be, because right now they think they've come into paradise, and that this is part of what their best efforts are. So, but again, I did mention here a little while ago about how the oil issue is going to get out of hand. So, you know, instead of the Saudis wanting to stay over there in that sand, they're going to come here. Why? Because they have the money. And why? Because you'll let them. And why? Because you'll cater to them. You will bow down. You will be on hand and knee to these people. Why? Because they have the money for your survival. Me, I just as soon die. Yeah. I'd rather die than to sit here. And I'm going to give you a prime example. I'm watching this Walking Dead thing. Okay, now I'm highly pissed off, because this guy, he killed Glenn. I'm pissed. I mean, I'm pissed. Utterly. somebody needs to kill this guy. But I can see the frustration and how the character is so despicable that I can't even fathom to listen to the person. I mean, it's just like, oh, stop him from talking. I just can't. He killed Glenn. He killed my boy. It was going with the sister, man. I was getting ready to like that. That was, man, that's the business. But I'm not going to go there. This is about jobs. But the whole idea is, okay, when you have this issue of people gouging, you end up with these type of, I'd have to say companies, that really, they're in no interest of the public. None. It's their family, their culture, and their community, and whichever that may be, whether that may be the black community. Well, it's not the black community because we have no percentage in the jobs and the business structure here in this country. We don't have a percentage. Even though we are 16% of this country, we have no business interest. And see, that right there is the atrocity. Because the black community doesn't even have a percentage. What are we, 1%, 2% of the business? No, we're not. But yet, everybody keeps thinking, we're going to protest our way into making these people do something. No. Not going to happen. So, let us look at this issue here. Okay? Now that the obvious is over, okay, we have to look at the reasons for these unrests. And with all these people now in the streets protesting, you've got the transgender people protesting and all their friends. You got the homosexuals protesting and all their friends, which are probably the same friends as the other motherfuckers. But in the meantime, now you have these same-sex marriage people. They're all protesting. Everybody wants a spot. And I'm glad you guys got a spot. But see, I'm glad you got a spot because now God's going to teach you a lesson. He's going to teach you a really, really, really bad lesson. Because you people that are out there protesting right now, I'm going to guarantee you that the majority of you will most likely come up dead, or everybody in your family is going to be in such misery that you won't seem to understand. See, because I say this simply because it's already written. You see, because again, I say to you, you cannot circumvent the will of God. See, I'm resigned to die right now. I'm not talking about minutes later. So that means that from this point on, all future in my timeline is like this. See, for you, it's all bad because you want. You're not satisfied. You're greedy. See? And this is where it goes bad. Because now that, okay, let's take those areas where the devastation is occurring. Apparently there's going to be a whole lot of jobs. But see, that the frustration in between having those jobs, having those homes rebuilt, because I would love to do that. I really would. Except for the fact that I hate Florida and Texas. It's too freaking humid. Can't stand it. So, but the jobs are going to be there. The problem is the majority of the people are unable to work. Why? Because you got to look at the community. Look at Florida. Florida is a retirement community. You got healthcare workers up in there by the 9,000s. There aren't construction workers in there in any numbers or any percentage, simply because why? When somebody built something there, okay, and they had some cranes and things, these were most likely steel workers, you know, welders and such that were doing the high rise and things, the cranes and stuff had come detached and were spinning. But the big issue is here that we're looking at is the fact that these jobs were specific to people that probably came to the state in order to do that job. So once the devastation had begun, those people left the state, went back home to where they're going. They probably either signed up for other jobs, waiting for something to happen, or for the callback from their unions. I understand the process. But what I'm saying is those jobs, it will be massive. And here's what's going to happen. The problem is those communities are not going to go to, okay, let's say the Dominicans and say, well, we need you guys to come in and hire because you're already part of the U.S. territories. Or let's say to go to Puerto Rico and have those people just say, hey, come on, let's put some people in some trailers and stuff and let's just get them to working. What they're going to do is talk about what the shortage is, and then they're going to start having these guest worker issues. And these are people from all over the world. And that's when you get got. Yeah. Mr. Bomber wants to come work. Yeah, he does. Mr. Bomber wants to come over and stand at the port and load containers. Mr. Blow You Up is now coming to work down in Texas. Why? Probably so he could blow up one of them oil fields or something, or I don't know, hit one of the stadiums, I don't know. But see, this is where you go bad. And all of you all sit around and like, oh yeah, okay, everything's fine, let's go to the club tonight, everything will be cool. But see, and again, you should always enjoy yourself. It's always a good thing. But see, in this country, people want to enjoy themselves all the time. And of course, you only work 8 hours a day. It's a job, right? But you see, the issue that you're missing is the fact that your other job was to maintain the kingdom. Well, for you that don't believe that, and this is all gibberish, hey, go back to what you were doing. You're cool. But because of these protests and all of these, transgender, gay, homosexual, same-sex, then we got the union people. Because the unions all are falling to the dirt. Because why? Because union people are lazy now. They don't want to protect anybody. What they want to protect is their... Yeah. So, we already know where this is going. Because even if you look at some of the issues when it comes to even union workers, okay, so it's only a collective issue after the union reps decide to say, well, wait a minute, let's go ahead and do this and move forward, blah, 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 blah. So, if we look at this again, whether that's the union workers or these other people, you see, everybody's beginning to protest now. When the white supremacists come, now you see what happens over here, like in Virginia, okay? But that's not going to be the issue, because what's going to happen is, now this issue of housing, okay, bad business. Why? Because look at what's happening. Every time there's a disaster, there's going to be more people homeless. Every time when the new budget comes out and they don't put out enough money for housing and they gave more money to the Jews than they did to anybody here in this country at one time. See, because if you look at it, if we make $13 trillion in 1 year, and the rest of the people are getting trillions of dollars, they get bigger percentages than we do out of our own money. $1 trillion? I don't know. What would happen if the federal government actually gave the American public back $1 trillion evenly across everybody? I don't care. Give it to the rich. I don't give a fuck. But everybody gets that money evenly. We probably end up with probably an extra $10,000, $20,000 a year. But why do the Jews need that money? They're the richest culture of people in the world. Egypt gave up all their gold for them, and they lost it because of idols, and because of curses, and because they don't believe in the Comforter. But hey, that's okay. Give your money away. I'm not gonna. So, with the unrest, because this unrest is going to come in many different ways. And I said before, whether that's social, whether that's economic, whether that's educational. And right now, as you can tell, these UC campuses and these other places, this is about to be the rich against the poor all over again. And you guys are like, yay, let's have a good time. Let's go to the club tonight. Everything's cool. Yeah, okay. And not just the educational, but the racial problems. Man, oh man, oh man. You just don't know. Because if you'll notice, the federal government has never put together any sort of instructional issue on how to deal with each race. Why is that? Why? Because as the Master said, my people perish for lack of knowledge, because they're not wise as a serpent. Okay? Because you're not paying attention to what your comforter or what your master is even saying. So therefore, there will be no wedding for you. I got my oil, you got none. So, as we come to these issues and these social unrest, these problems, the issues become more and more relevant. Then all of a sudden, there will be no, let's spill over to the bar. Ain't gonna happen. Because that bar is gonna be out of business. It'll be either looted, broken up, or something. Because, see, personally, I'm going to move into a different direction here. And I'm going to be that legal devil. See, because I want the end of this world to come as quickly as possible. Why? Because I'm not getting what I want. All I'm getting is misery and death. That's all. That's all I get from anybody in this country. Misery and death. If it wasn't for God himself blessing me with the job and the other things, you people didn't advance me. You don't even like me. You're not even listening to this, and I'm kind of glad. But what I'm saying is the fact that, I tried. And of course God has tried too. But you're not listening. So that's cool. Don't listen. And like I said before, where's it at? Let me get this up here so I can remind myself of the fact that from the very beginning, this was what I meant. And I still mean it now, because now it's even more relevant. You're in trouble. You're in trouble because you don't listen. You're in trouble because maybe your job has you treating people bad. And I'm pretty sure that is the case. Why? Because now you'll notice that people just say, well, hey, I'm just doing my job. You are, but you're hurting people. And guess what? You've already heard about the fat meat. But I want to put you up on something else. This is something that's said all the time in the black community. God don't like ugly. And I'm not speaking so far as ugly people as a concern. I'm talking ugly behavior. I'm talking people that are trying their very hardest. And these are the people that are in Proverbs. Yeah, I believe I said read Proverbs chapter to that day. If it's the 20th, read your chapter 20th. If it's the 27th, read chapter 27 that day. Believe me when I tell you, you will come up. Okay? So, for those of you that really don't understand or don't even want to understand, that's cool. I got it. But right now, the jobs and this issue of work shortages, I want everybody to speak up. Those of you that are not listening, just don't sit there. Say something. Don't sit up here and talk about, wait a minute, we don't have enough people to work. Why are there people on welfare then? Huh? Okay, don't sit up here and tell me that people can't work or this and that. Then why do you have people going through the conservation corps throughout all of this country? And you're going to tell me these people are not available to work? You're crazy. You're lying. But if you don't say something, you're just as guilty. See, and the reason why I'm doing this again is because I'm not guilty anymore. I'm not guilty of not saying anything. I'm not guilty of not stepping forward into my community and putting my life on the line for somebody that cannot put their own life on the line. That's what I'm going to do. Why? Because like I said, I don't want to live here no more. I don't want to live in this society of people where I can't even get anybody to love me. Why would I want to live here? Why would I want to be part of something where I can't even get the basics of love? And you know something? It makes me cry. It has a lot of times. But now I ain't got no tears for that. What I got tears now for is beating somebody's ass. Why? Because I can't get nobody to love me. I'm just not saying it's that because I know God loves me. I'm pretty sure my children don't. But God does. And I'm guaranteeing one thing for sure. As this time these timelines continue to move forward, we're going to see more and more and more what love really means. It means a lot to me because I loved my parents. And I loved my brother and sister until, my brother died and my sister turned out to be the cat lady. It was all part of what was in me. And my relatives and me being that baby of the family and going to my relatives and talking with my Aunt Viola and the people that I loved, my mother and father. And now I'm out here with a bunch of fucking disgusting people that don't even like me. I'm not even talking about love. But I'm talking about these jobs. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you don't have one, you really can't have the other. You ain't got no job, you ain't got nothing else. If you're rich and you still don't have a job, your mind retrobate. So that's cool. I want to make sure that at some point we all look at this and say, has this ignorant black man helped me? I say yes, simply because I want you to pray for me. I hope that the Comforter comes into your life and he shows you the fact that gibberish is really not gibberish at all. It is a way of life. It's my life. Don't bother, whoever. I'm just glad to be able to do this again. And I thank you, Comforter, and angels, and all these lovely things that are happening around all this misery. Again, let's pray for those people in those flooded areas and the disasters that are to come. Let's get prayed up, people, because I pray everything is well, but, as I can see even concern fading into the sunset, I know that those fruits of the Spirit, and like I said, I'll do that later, I know that they won't be around anymore. Why? Because I know I can't find no love. You got people who don't even want to talk to each other anymore. You got people that stay in their houses because they don't want to be bothered. So good luck. I feel sorry, and I'll pray. But hopefully everything gets better for all of you. We shall see. God bless. I'll talk to you guys later.